Chance the Rapper stoked some controversy on Twitter when he came out in favor of young Earth creationism. We'll have the full story ahead. Also, the anticipated trailer for Quentin Tarantino's next movie debuted, and the Lollapalooza lineup features one surprising name, even though she's pretty popular on this corner of the internet. It's all ahead. This is Relevant Daily.
Relevant Daily.
Hey everyone, Daz here, and welcome to Relevant HQ. This is Relevant Daily, where we bring you what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture. All of those stories are coming up, but first, we want to tell you today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all possible with Squarespace. They have award-winning templates, customizable settings, even powerful e-commerce solutions, all without a single plugin. Right now, Squarespace is offering Relevant Daily viewers a special deal. Head over to squarespace.com/relevant for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your site, use the offer code RELEVANT to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I've been using Squarespace for years and I love it. There is no coding and there are no plugins, and you're gonna love it too. Squarespace.com/relevant. Now, we welcome to Relevant Daily, Relevant Senior Editor, Tyler Huckabee.
Hey Daz, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine, man. I understand that you have some news for us about a Chance the Rapper Twitter storm.
Yeah, I would say it's a minor Twitter storm, but it's an interesting one. So we all know Chance the Rapper around here. He's got a new album coming out later this summer. He just had that big sabbatical that he took with the Bible, just to read the Bible for a few months. And today he took to Twitter to sort of advocate for his belief in what's known as young Earth creationism, or a young Earth theory. In a tweet, he said, quote, "So y'all think this expletive going on for 1,000,000 years? I don't know." And then in a follow-up, he said, "I know it's old, trees and rocks and alligators and stuff, but I give this joint 1,000,000 on the high side." So this he got pretty ratioed over this. People weren't very happy about the idea of him advocating for something that's a pretty controversial theory, at least within the science community. And he said then on Twitter that everybody was being combative with their pushback.
So was it worth all of the backlash? How controversial exactly is this?
Well, I mean, it's Twitter, so you have to take that into account, that any controversy is going to be necessarily sort of elevated to the outrage is always stuck on 10 on the Twitter dial.
Right.
But what he's saying is definitely not super popular. Around 8 in 10 adults in America say humans evolved over time, but that changes quite a bit when you look at Christian communities. About 4 in 10 white evangelicals say humans have always existed in their present form, otherwise there is no evolution. And about a quarter of black Protestants say the same thing. That contrasts pretty starkly with US scientists, 98% of whom say that humans and all living things have evolved over time.
Wow. So what about the debate itself? Like, what do people kind of turn to in terms of where they get their information?
Well, so lots of Christians, the Christians we're talking about here, subscribe to what's known as the young Earth theory. The basic idea here is that the creation story, as outlined in the first chapter of Genesis, refers to literal days when it talks about the first day, second day, third day, actual 24-hour periods. This is a fairly recent interpretation, or at least a fairly recent consensus interpretation. A lot of notable theologians throughout history, from Augustine all the way up more recently to Ed Young, made it clear that the Hebrew that was being used in the Genesis account here doesn't necessarily have to refer to actual days. Now, this isn't saying that they necessarily advocate for an old Earth theory or for evolution itself, just that they're saying that that a conservative biblical reading doesn't necessarily mandate a 24-hour period. In fact, Carl Henry, very notable theologian here in the 20th century, said, quote, "Faith in an inerrant Bible does not rest on the recency or antiquity of the earth. The Bible does not require belief in 6 literal 24-hour creation days on the basis of Genesis 1 and 2. It is gratuitous to insist that 24-hour days are involved or intended." That's the end of the quote. So while biblical scholars don't necessarily have a problem with an older Earth theory, skepticism about evolution still really exists among the Christian lay, thanks in large part to people like Ken Ham at the Creation Museum there in Kentucky.
Wow, my only question left is how this is going to bleed into the new Chance album.
We'll know in June.
We'll know in June. So what else is happening today, Tyler?
Well, as you probably know, Daz, we got our first trailer for the new Quentin Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. People are looking forward to that. This is going to be his 9th movie, I believe. This one stars Leo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie. Takes place in the golden era of filmmaking, which Tarantino's obviously always been very, very interested in, and apparently will involve in some form or another the Manson murders. Here's a look at the trailer. So, depending on your tolerance for Tarantino movies, and I know mileage may vary there, this one looks pretty good. I think almost anybody would be hard-pressed to say they wouldn't be interested in seeing Brad Pitt and DiCaprio playing off each other a little bit.
Right. The sheer amount of charisma is probably worth the price of admission alone.
And as a big fan of Bruce Lee, I was pretty excited that he got a shout-out in the trailer, too. We'll see how it goes from there.
Yes, Brad Pitt is funny, and don't you forget it.
Yeah, Brad Pitt is funny when he wants to be. He doesn't get enough talent. He's underrated, I'd say, as a comedic actor.
Exactly. So what's the last story on tap?
Last story we got today comes to us from Chicago, where the Lollapalooza lineup was just announced. Lollapalooza has always been kind of a main feature of Relevant summer coverage. We like going down there and seeing what happens at Lolla. We got a new lineup today. Lots of exciting names on there. Childish Gambino, Casey Musgraves, Ariana Grande is going to be headlining, Tame Impala, The Strokes are getting up there again. But a name that's kind of interesting for the purposes of this daily recording for our audience, Lauren Daigle, making her Lollapalooza debut this year. Former Relevant cover star Lauren Daigle is going to be appearing at Lollapalooza, which is not that surprising. She's very popular. She's been very, very successful. But obviously, this is not necessarily for the sort of Christian artists that Lauren represents. That's not a common invite. It's cool that she made it onto the roster.
Yeah, hey, that's the relevant bump. Paying off, you know.
And if you're a famous music artist, you too could be invited to Lollapalooza if you go ahead and appear on Relevant's cover. If you're lucky enough to appear on the Relevant cover.
That's right. It's the hottest seat in town now. Thanks so much, Tyler. Appreciate you coming on. Well, that will do it for today's episode of Relevant Daily. If you want more from Relevant, it's very easy to find us on Twitter at Relevant. We also have a Facebook page where we broadcast this show, or you can always visit our homepage, relevantmagazine.com. We also have a special promotion going on with our print magazine just for Relevant Daily viewers. You can go to relevantmagazine.com/daily sale and you will get 6 months of Relevant for just $6. It's a no-brainer. And if you are subscribing to our podcast right now or happen to find this wherever you get your podcasts, go ahead and subscribe to the Relevant Daily feed and hit us with the 5-star review. We really appreciate it. But that will do it for this episode of Relevant Daily. I'm Tyler Daswick from Relevant Headquarters. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Relevant Daily.